Well, it's Sunday morning, and that means I'm en route down to Steve Strebel's house to play trains on his O-scale railroad, ON3 and ON30 railroad. This is something that's been going on for a long, long time. 30 years ago, a bunch of us formed a little informal group that we called the O-scale guys, and we formed this group so that we could build a modular railroad that we could take around to the different train shows. And we in fact did build this modular railroad that we could take around to the various train shows. Tore that down, built another modular railroad, tore that down, built another modular railroad. In the meantime, we've also built various railroads in our own homes, and most of those don't exist anymore either. It's just sort of the nature of life that after 30 years, things change and people move on. But Steve's Railroad is the long-standing, long-suffering project that has been there and continues to be there and continues to get better and better and better every single year. So we all go down there on Sunday mornings and we hang out and we have all of this fun playing with trains at Steve Strebel's. So I thought I'd show you that, and there's going to be a bunch of different Toyman videos shot down at Steve's. This way you can kind of get a sense of what the heck this whole thing is about and who these lunatics are that meet down at Steve's house every Sunday morning. So let's head over there and take a look at that. The entire second floor of Steve's house is one giant O-scale railroad, modeled mostly in ON3, but also ON30. Steve's been working on this monster for over 20 years. That's Al back there, Al Badham, one of the guys who meets here every Sunday. Al likes to sort of lay claim to having built the entire thing. This is, of course, BS. Al is, however, responsible for scratch building much of the fine rolling stock and a bunch of the structures as well. This is Steve, the actual Steve. He's here working on some signage for a building. As much as we like to clown around about it, Steve is responsible for building almost everything you see here. This is Don Hendrickson. Now, he doesn't generally work on the railroad, but boy, can he build the crap out of a locomotive. An excellent, excellent scratch builder. And this is a homeless guy that we found down at the bottom of an off-ramp with a sign that said he would build model railroads for food. Now, Steve has truly taken the art of screwing around into the realm of fine art. This railroad, by anybody's standards, would have to be considered a work of art. The railroad is controlled by a digital command control system which allows each individual locomotive to be controlled from a separate throttle all on the same track. It's a lovely piece of new technology that almost all model railroaders are getting involved in. Now, in spite of its over 20-year history, this is not the oldest of our railroads. We got together to build modular railroads. This was the third modular railroad that we built, a Sandy River and Rangeley Lakes 2-foot gauge O-scale railroad. It interchanged with a standard gauge track as well. And we would take this around to shows and show it off and run it and just have a general good time with it. It had a fine level of detail and always made a good impression with people at the shows. Oddly enough, at the end of the show, people would say, "Oh, that was the railroad with the lighthouse, wasn't it?" Well, there was a lot more going on than a lighthouse, but that seemed to be the memorable structure. For whatever reason, almost every railroad we've ever built featured a waterfront scene, and this was no exception. I guess we just like waterfronts. And the 2-foot gauge track on this was just so outrageously small, it was a lot of fun. Look here where the 2-foot crosses over the standard. I don't know why, but I just love the look of that. But our big achievement was our big railroad. We built a club railroad in a hobby shop, the MRS Hobby Shop. It was a 60 by 30 foot layout with 9 feet of mountains, 9 feet from the bottom of the mountain to the highest peak. Just an outrageously fun railroad. We'd been working on this for 15 years when the hobby shop succumbed to the economy in 2008. and we had to tear the entire thing apart. Now that was a very sad day. Fortunately, we were able to save all of the structures and certainly all the trains and rolling stock and many of the bridges. And we're repurposing that. It's all popping up in other railroads. A lot of it has moved over to Steve's house. But this one was so fun. You look at these pictures and it's hard to believe that this is an O-scale railroad. It's just that these mountains were so big. And of course it had a waterfront scene, as all of our railroads do. This was the port area. I couldn't resist the temptation to Photoshop some of the pictures of the port area. Now, a lot of this port area has found its way over to Steve's port area, so a lot of these buildings have been repurposed over there. But the port area was about, 6 by 12 feet, so we couldn't very well fit the whole thing over at Steve's. So we have a dismantled port, which we hope to reuse at some other point in time. Now this is the photography studios of Madame Wu on High Street. A lot of backstory here, and I plan on doing an entire episode just on Madame Wu. High Street was the Snob Hill area on the railroad and had a nice little horse-drawn trolley car. There was also an industrial area in a town we called Sandy, big mining and milling place. Really interesting looking, really nice industrial Old West mining area. Winter sometimes came courtesy of Photoshop too. But the railroad was beautiful and spectacular, and it was really tragic to have to tear the thing apart, even though we were able to save some parts of it. And moved those parts to Steve's Railroad. We're back at Steve's Railroad now. So after all these years and bringing the MRS Railroad into Steve's is really jam-packed with buildings and scenery, and it's just an absolutely amazing railroad. The entire High Street has moved over here, by the way, and is even more spectacular here than it was at MRS. But we have a good deal of fun running the railroad. It runs really well, and it's a great fun thing to do every single Sunday. So watch for more Toyman television shows on the O-Scale Guys and Steve's Railroad in particular. Going to do a lot of individual little stories about individual areas on this railroad. Well, there you have it, the O-Scale Guys at Steve Strebel's Railroad. We have a good deal of fun doing that. We've been doing it for a heck of a long time. We're going to continue doing it for a heck of a long time, I hope. And we just enjoy hanging out at each other's places and going over to Steve's every Sunday morning and working on his railroad. You might want to look around in your own area for model railroad clubs that you can join, or you can do what we've done, and that's just find some kind of a small like-minded group of people and form a sort of informal group and call that your railroad club. At any rate, do go to the main channel, to Toyman Television. You'll notice there's a link right down here that says Toyman Television. You can click on that. It'll take you to the main channel. And from the main channel, you can subscribe and look at other videos and that sort of thing. You will also find there a little link that says Guy's Hobby Shop, and that'll take you over to guyshobbyshop.com or theguyshobbyshop.com. It's the same place. And what you'll find there is a hobby shop that isn't really a hobby shop. Someday I'd like it to be a hobby shop, but right now it's just sort of a page. And eventually I want to sell stuff there and actually have something of a hobby shop. But you'll find a link there for the O-Scale Guys, and that'll take you to the website of the O-Scale Guys, and you can see a lot of the stills that you saw here and a million more, because I've put tons and tons and tons of information on there and photographs of all of our various railroads over the years and all the fun that we've been having as the O-Scale Guys. So check that out on the main page, theguysHobbyshop.com. Well, I'm not sure how you found this particular movie on the internet. I hope you didn't find it boring. And I'll see you here again in 1 week with more significant screwing around. I'll see you then. Bye.